Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From the Blind Spot, presented by me, Zach. Hello, everyone. I know it's been a while since I've done a podcast. From the Blind Spot needed a little break. There's been a lot going on in my life, but I'm ready to start talking about F1 again, previewing the Monaco Grand Prix that's happening this weekend, and as well as kind of recapping some of the other races that have happened. Miami, Imola, just some great things that have been coming out of F1 recently. So let's kind of recap the Miami weekend. It was kind of a interesting race, not much overtaking. Oscar Piastri wins another race. That made his third race win in a row and kind of cemented him as a real contender for this year in F1. Obviously, his other three race wins probably did that as well, but getting 4 out of 6 race wins is pretty good in the first 6 races in the start of an F1 season that's very long. But yeah, Oscar Piastri has been doing really well. I hope he keeps it up. I kind of love that this shy, quiet guy that's kind of keeps his emotions inside him is winning this, and he's like, "Yes, I have won another race. Let's go." Very good. Just very monotone, and I like that in F1. Just something a little different. Obviously, if you're watching, Junie's here biting my hands, licking a lot, but hopefully she falls asleep during this podcast. But yeah, Max took third, and then Lando took second. One of my predictions that weekend did come true. There was a total of 4 podium places for Lando and Oscar in both the sprint and the actual Grand Prix. But other than that, let's move past Miami. Great race for Alex Albon there. Great race in Imola for Alex Albon. That's why I got this one hanging up behind me. The Williams is so back. The one thing I want to say about the Williams is that they're probably not in F5 anymore, which is something that the fans bring up, saying like there's a difference between the top 4 teams and the bottom 6 teams. But this year there's a top 4 teams, a middle tier team, and then the lower tier 5 other teams. And that's right, we got the Williams right there at F1.5. So the only reason I've been saying that, we're, what is it, 7 races into the season now, and we've had uh, a good amount of races where a lot of this happened. There's been a lot of different teams scoring points. Every team has scored a point, matter of fact. But the only thing that is pretty consistent, the only 2 or 3 things that are consistent is Max Verstappen is inevitable. The McLarens have a great car, and no one knows how they keep their brakes so cool. And Williams is on the up and up. Those are the 3 things that I can say for certain are very consistent this year in F1. That's the only reason I say this, because Williams has 55 points on the season, 40 from Alex Albon and 11 from Carlos Sainz. The issue here with Carlos Sainz is that he's been very unlucky. He's outqualified Alex 4-3, so that means that during qualifying he's qualified at a higher position than Alex. But unfortunately, especially in Imola, they pitted him a few laps, actually probably like I think 6 or something laps before Alex came in. And this actually benefited Alex greatly because a safety car came out. And when a safety car comes out during an F1 race, that means the whole track is slowed down, and everyone that pits loses not 28 seconds like in Imola, but 18 seconds. You lose 10 less seconds, which means you don't fall far as back as in other races. Okay. That being said, this kind of unluckiness has happened for Carlos Sainz a little bit too much, but I have a feeling that this unluckiness is going to come to an end because this unluckiness comes with every Williams driver. Alex had it a lot last year with all of his different crashes, not all of them being his fault. Obviously, the other drivers, Latifi, George, Sargent, all having their unlucky bits at Williams because the car wasn't as good. But this year, I feel like the car is better. Carlos is still adjusting to it. The team strategy and strategists are probably working very hard to get Carlos that better position, P5, P6, that he's been deserving of, definitely, in these races. But let's talk more about Imola. Something that was very different about Imola was that Pirelli brought a C6, which is now the softest tire in the Pirelli range, ranging from C1 to C6. And every weekend, the Pirelli, I guess, engineers or race tire protocol people, whatever, pick a range that would be a competitive racing tire. So they pick 3 sets, so it's like 6, 5, and 4 were for Imola. So this is the softest ever tire compound that had been raced at Imola. They were hoping to make it a more competitive race, making it like, okay, now that the mediums were last year's soft, maybe that means that, hey, this one stop race will turn into a two stop race, changing how teams kind of strategize it. And it did. It did change a lot of it. Obviously, there were safety cars. There was a safety car and a virtual safety car, two cars DNF, causing those issues. And we had a great restart to the race at the end. And we had a great overtake by Max in the first turn, which was very unexpected for me because I didn't really expect for Max to make that move so early. I was looking down, probably taking care of a dog, and all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, how is Max in first? He dived right in there, had a great overtake turn one, which I thought was a very interesting move, and then he just ran away with it, proving that Max is inevitable. Hence why I'm wearing the Red Bull shirt today, just in honor of Max's great overtake and his win, and my predictions today. Look out for Monaco Grand Prix predictions. The other thing I want to talk about was the fact that the Ferraris had terrible qualifying, but then had a tremendous race, both cars getting back into the points. Lewis Hamilton took fourth. Yes, he did. Alex was running in fourth for the longest time, and then Charles Leclerc just kind of forced him off the track, and I think that was a bogus move by Charles, and he obviously, at the last lap of the race, gave up that position to give Alex P5, making Alex his second consecutive P5, third on the year, and hence why he has 40 points, because he's done P5, which gets you 10 points 3 times. But yeah, that's it for Imola. Strong weekend from McLaren. Obviously, Oscar getting overtaken by Lando in the end of the race wasn't great for Oscar's championship fight, but Max winning, Oscar P2, no, Lando P2, Oscar P3 was it was a much more fun race to watch for Imola. The fact that the tires overtaking, the DNFs causing safety cars and virtual safety cars, just a very fun race, and I hope that we can carry over this momentum into Monaco. Because the Monaco Grand Prix is one of the 4 jewels of the F1 calendar. It's this one, Silverstone Spa, and Monza, the Italian one. Those are like the 4 crown jewels of the F1 calendar, but Monaco is the biggest one. It's the granddaddy of them all. It's the crown jewel. It's the top piece. It's the most prestigious. It's the most fun in a weekend. It's the most technical. Very battlegroundy in the fact that you cement yourself in the F1 history books if you win here, just like all the other greats. Now that I'm done hyping up Monaco, let's talk about some of the changes that are happening this year for the Monaco Grand Prix. I don't know what to do with this pen. It's the 75th running of Formula One. Well, it's the 75th year of Formula One, 75th technical running of the Monaco Grand Prix, but the Monaco Grand Prix is much older than that in terms of running cars around it. I think they started running cars in the 20s around this track, or street circuit as you would probably call it. There are only 4 current winners of the Monaco Grand Prix, and those 4 are Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso. All 4 of those drivers have won, but hopefully this year we get a new winner with the McLarens being very strong in qualifying, and this being a difficult track to overtake, hoping that the McLarens can get that pole position and that P2, and hope that Lando or Oscar can win this race. As I mentioned, it's a super narrow circuit, very hard to pass, as we saw last year with the first lap incidents between the Alpines, Kevin Magnussen coming up to Sergio Perez, causing a very large incident on the back of the pack, red flagging the session, and then somehow restarting without, I think we lost like 5 cars in that. Expect losing a lot of cars this year with the amount of rookies that we have. Franco Colapinto, we got Kimi Antonelli, Isaac Hadjar, Gabriel Bortoleto, Liam Lawson, if you count him. And then I don't remember the other one. But anyways, a lot of rookies this year, so expect those not saying that they're not experienced, but they're not experienced in an F1 car going around Monaco. It's much bigger. It's much more car to work with on a very small circuit. One of the biggest changes to the Monaco Grand Prix this year is the fact that they are mandating 2 pit stops. So typically this is a 1 pit stop race over the 78 laps. It's something that they're trying out to try and make it more competitive, see if things change. I think they're also bringing the same tire compounds, so it's the C5 and 4 from Imola that they're bringing here. And they're mandating 2 pit stops, but you still have to use only 2 tire compounds. So let's say you start on a soft and then go to a medium. Medium, you can do that, or you can do medium, medium hard, or medium, medium soft, or whatever. You still only need to use 2 tire compounds unless it's raining, but it's not supposed to rain on Sunday as of, I think, yesterday when I checked the forecast. But today's Thursday. They have 2 practice sessions on Friday tomorrow. Check them out if you're available to check them out. Well, I think the first one's at 6:30 in the morning. Second one is at 10 in the morning Central Standard Time. And then FP3, but then qualifying's at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Definitely watch that because that is the most competitive qualifying session of the year. Basically, if you take pole, you have a very good chance of winning this. With the 2-stop race now, I don't know if that's going to change anything. Expect a crazy qualifying, I already touched on that. Especially if it is supposed to rain, because on Saturday there is supposed to be a slight amount of rain. There could be a few drops here and there, which would make the track much more slick, causing probably a few more crashes. So definitely check out qualifying on Saturday. And then the race is at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday. Another piece of info is that Adrian Newey for Aston Martin, who was formerly with Red Bull Racing, is making his first trackside debut. As you know, Adrian Newey is like the technical director, head of aerodynamics, the guru of aerodynamics. He has a book out there explaining his experience. He's worked in IndyCar, he's worked in Formula One for number of years, and just the fact that IndyCar and Formula One have had this, he's just an elite strategist when it comes to the aerodynamics of the car and building a car that works. So as you saw last week in Imola, you saw the Aston Martins both of them get to Q3 on medium tires, beating out both Ferraris. This was kind of unexpected and probably due to the fact that Adrian Newey is creating a car that's going to be working for just this year, but probably focus most of his time on the 2026 build, as are a lot of the other teams, such as Williams. They're doing that. They're focusing mainly on next season in 2026, but anyhow, yeah, that's another thing. As I mentioned, IndyCar. So the Indy 500 is also this weekend on the same day as the Monaco Grand Prix. Probably when the Monaco Grand Prix ends at around 10:30ish, depending on what happens. But there is a 2-hour time limit, so when the Monaco Grand Prix ends, you have an hour break, and then at 11 a.m., the Indianapolis 500 also starts. It's the 114th running of the Indy 500. Obviously, this is the biggest sporting event in the world. I think it's north of 500,000 people are there at the Indy 500. It's one of the largest sporting complexes in the world as well. It's got 4 holes of a golf course in the middle of the track. And this year there's been a lot of drama with it. If you want to look into that, obviously go research some of the other Indy things. But all I can tell you is that Team Penske is like one of the best teams in IndyCar. And unfortunately, 2 of their drivers were sent to the back of the grid. I think the 32nd and 33rd position. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an IndyCar expert. But they were sent to the back of the grid just because they had a modification. Because in IndyCar, you're not allowed to modify your car's chassis as much as in Formula One. But any modifications in IndyCar are seen as cheating, so they were put to the back of the grid because of an inspection, and they found those modified chassis bits. And the fact that Robert Schwartzman for Prema Racing in IndyCar, who is a rookie in IndyCar, is on pole for this Indianapolis 500 is kind of another big talking point, which is kind of insane to see him qualify for that top position. But definitely watch the Indy 500 if you have time on Saturday. It's a very fun race, steeped in tradition, just like Monaco, with the brickyard, the kissing of the bricks after the race, and obviously the milk, unlike the champagne in Monaco. But other than that, very big weekend in racing. Another thing I want to talk about is that tomorrow on Friday, May 23rd, they have another race happening at the Indianapolis 500. but it's not that big of a race. It's more of a sponsor kind of dealio. So if anyone knows of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles, all 6 of them are in Indianapolis, and they will be racing each other around the Indianapolis 500 as like a sponsored hot dog racing event. So this Memorial Day is packed with a lot of races. NASCAR also has a few races. I think the Coca-Cola 500 is racing. I don't know. I don't follow NASCAR that closely, but obviously there's that happening as well. So a lot of races. Check them out. Just be excited for this weekend of motorsports. There's a lot going on. Okay, predictions time. Let's talk about my predictions for the Monaco Grand Prix. In P10, I have Fernando Alonso, probably because we have Adrian Newey showing up. That car's looking faster. He was complaining that he was the unluckiest racer in the Imola Grand Prix, but I feel like he's going to get his first points of the season here in this Grand Prix. He's very experienced at the track. He's been in F1 for so many years, 20 plus. He's raced this course so many times. I think he's going to definitely make a good impact here and get the first points for himself this season, copying that P10 place. In P3, I have Lando Norris. P2, I have Oscar Piastri. And P1, I have Max Verstappen. Here are the reasons why I think Max is going to win this race. The Red Bull car is built around Max, and Max is a very aggressive driver. He likes to push it to the limit. He's pinpoint with his steering. He knows how to control the car because he's been here at Red Bull for such a long time. And the fact that he has won this race before, I think, gives him that extra bit of edge of managing this. Yet again, I'll bring back the point of the mandatory 2 pit stops. I don't know if he makes it on pole, if he wins, but if he doesn't make it on pole, I think he still has a good chance of getting to that P1 position over time, even if it is beating Oscar Piastri, beating Lando Norris. But yeah, that's my podium. P3 Lando, P2 Oscar Piastri. The only reason I put Oscar at P2 is because last year he had a very strong race, very strong qualifying for this Grand Prix, and I think he'll continue that trend. And Lando, strong car, great racer. Okay, my wild prediction is that a car will stop twice before the 20th lap that they complete. Okay, the reason that I'm putting this on here is because this is a 78 lap race and it does not reach the F1 305 kilometer race distance that other Grand Prix can do because it's a very short circuit, it's a very tight circuit. They kind of cap it at a certain number of laps. So I think that a car will stop twice because a car could just go soft, get really push those tires for 10 laps. 10 laps on a soft, 10 laps on a soft, you're 20 laps in, and then you just switch to a medium and just go all the way out. You may be at the back of the pack. You may have made up a bunch of time because you undercut twice being on 2 softs. That's if you have those tire compounds. And if you go to the hards, then you just have 58 laps of not having to push very hard because everyone in front of you is going to have to pit. So I feel like someone is going to make this strategy happen, and I think it could be someone at the back of the pack, could be like a Haas. I could see Haas doing this kind of strategy just because they're looking for points. They're in P6 of the constructors, and like if I find Ayuki Matsu being very strategic and being like, hey, if we try this, like the thought could work out unless it rains. But since it's not going to rain, I feel like the 2 pit stops before the 20th lap could be a situation and something very fun to see from a team. Just a very completely different strategy compared to, all right, let's do mediums. All right, you took those mediums in 20 laps. Let's do another set of mediums. All right, we got 38 laps left, hards. So we'll see how that goes. But I like that one racer will do that strategy. All right, moving on to the betting picks. I think I got some good picks here for you all. You got to make these picks on Thursday or before the race or before any practices. So my betting picks are, the first one is plus 110, a double top 10 from Red Bull. So this means obviously Max, I think, is going to be in the top 3. It all depends on Yuki if he can get within the top 10. I like this bet pick because you have one certified driver. It's plus money, and I just think that Yuki Tsunoda can get it to the top 10 if he has a very strong qualifying on Saturday. But that means he has to have very good practice sessions, be feeling very confident in that car moving into that Saturday qualifying. And if not, he could do a good strategy on Sunday and possibly bump up from that P12 to that P9, P8 position. The next one is plus 300, a top 6 finish from Carlos Sainz. I like this pick very much in the fact that Carlos has outqualified Alex Albon 4-3 in those 4 races that he did outqualify Alex. Those have been more recent in the fact that Carlos was getting used to the car in the beginning stages or the first 3 races of this year. So I feel like Carlos will outqualify Alex and probably qualify in the top 6, hopefully. That is also dependent on if other racers, such as the Ferraris, have bad qualifying, the Red Bulls have bad qualifying, and if the Aston Martins don't qualify as fast. I feel like that Williams car can get into a P6, P7, and kind of jostle because Carlos is a very knowledgeable driver, very skillful around here, and I feel like he can definitely get a top 6 at this race. Okay, my last betting prediction is a plus 100 top 10 finish from Fernando Alonso. Obviously, another plus money pick. Here, we're looking to double your money on just Fernando Alonso getting into the top 10 at the end of the race. Very skilled one here. He's raced here multiple times for F1, very different cars. And the Aston Martin, I feel like, is getting faster. It's qualifying better. It may be just a qualifying car, but that's fine here because this is Monaco, difficult to pass. Once again, 2 pit stops, but I like the odds here for Fernando Alonso to finish in the top 10 and double your money. F1 Fantasy. We've made a few changes here since the last time I've made a podcast. Oscar Piastri is still our number 1 driver, double picks for him, or double points for him. Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon also staying, and McLaren is one of the constructors that we are keeping. That's new, so I guess we are not keeping the McLarens. We have exited we got rid of the Mercedes and we added the McLaren. Obviously it's more expensive, but it's the best car out there, and I think that it's going to get me more fantasy points because of the changes that I have made. We also have the Williams still. The other 2 changes that I made, I dropped both Haas drivers and I picked up Fernando Alonso because I feel like he is going to score points here. He's been doing better in qualifying. And I picked up Isaac Hadjar, who is probably the best rookie outside of Kimi Antonelli. And he's racing for the Racing Bulls, and I have a feeling that he will keep the Racing Bulls in it for a long time because he's just got pace. Guy's quick. Guy's raced here before in F2. He's the one that did that, the quick steering maneuver around a car going slow within the tunnel. It's a very cool video. Definitely look it up. He's got great reaction speed, great reaction time. But yeah, Isaac Hadjar is, I think, one of the better picks here for the F1 Fantasy this week and going forward. And since they were cheaper than the other 2, that's how I was able to drop the Mercedes, pick up the McLaren. That's how that happened. But yeah, very exciting weekend, this Memorial Day weekend. We got a lot of racing to see, a lot of racing to catch up on. Next episode of From the Blind Spot will probably be next Wednesday because I'm very busy Monday and I have someone staying here Tuesday, so the podcasting room will not be available. But anyway, stay tuned for that Wednesday podcast next week. We'll have that'll be a review episode of the Monaco Grand Prix, and then we'll have a preview episode that Thursday for the Spanish Grand Prix. I think that's what it's called. But the last Grand Prix that's going to be happening in Barcelona before they move to Madrid. One other thing is shout out John. John, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a great listener. Shout out everyone else that is listening. I know I'm learning who's coming out and telling me that they're listening to the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, guys and gals. Yes, I think that is all. Thank you all for listening. Shout out Eric as well. Thank you for listening. Calling this a blog. Love it. Yeah. That's Zach signing out.